The richest people on earth are buried in debt. Millions of dollars of it, far more than you will ever carry. And that debt is the exact reason they keep getting richer, while you stay stuck in the same place. Meanwhile, you got handed one simple rule and told never to break it. Debt is bad, pay it off, get out, be free. And quietly, politely, obeying that rule has helped keep you right where you are. Because nobody ever told you the whole truth about debt. They told you half of it, the half that keeps you scared. And the other half, the part they left out, is the engine humming underneath every fortune you have ever envied. So stick with me, because in a few minutes, I am going to show you the move the wealthy use to pull cash out whenever they want and pay almost no tax on it. Completely legally, it is going to make you a little angry. But to understand it, you first have to see why one single word, debt, is a weight chained to your ankle and a lever in their hands. Here is what they never explain. There is not one kind of debt. There are two. And they pull in completely opposite directions. Picture debt as a rope. For you, it is tied tight around your ankle, and it drags you a little deeper into the hole with every single payment. That is the only way you have ever felt it, as weight. For them, that exact same rope runs over a pulley, and it hauls heavy gold up out of the ground. Gold they could never have lifted with their own two arms. They did not run from the rope. They studied it, and they built the pulley. So let's go find it. The first kind of debt buys things that lose value and pull money out of your pocket month after month. The financed car that is worth less the second you drive it off the lot. The credit card balance sitting on top of dinners you have already forgotten eating. The phone you are paying off in little monthly pieces. This is the rope around your ankle. It only ever pulls down. The second kind buys things that put money into your pocket. A small rental that pays you rent. A business that earns while you sleep. An asset that quietly grows in the background. That debt still costs you, yes. But the thing it bought pays you more than the debt takes. That is the rope on the pulley it pulls up. The whole secret fits in one sentence. Most people borrow to buy things. The rich borrow to buy things that pay them back. Same rope, opposite ends. But knowing there are two kinds is nothing on its own. The real power is in the move they make next. The rich figured out how to lift far more gold than their own arms could ever carry. They do it with the bank's money instead of only their own. Say you have $50,000. You could spend it on a $50,000 thing, and now your money is gone. Or you could put that same $50,000 down on something worth $250,000 and borrow the rest. Now your money is controlling 5 times more than it ever could alone. And when that bigger thing climbs in value, you keep the growth on the whole thing, not just your slice. That is leverage, a fancy word for using other people's money to control something far bigger than you could reach on your own. Your salary can only grow so fast. Leverage is the multiplier that smashes straight through that ceiling. It is the difference between dragging a boulder up the hill with your bare hands and rolling it up with a machine. One is your aching back. The other is a tool doing the heavy part for you. Now, I am going to be straight with you, because a lever this strong is dangerous. Leverage does not only multiply what you win, it multiplies what you lose. If the thing you bought falls instead of rising, you still owe the whole rope. That is the part the get-rich-quick crowd never says out loud. Hold that thought, because we are coming back to it. Remember the move I promised you at the start? The one that pulls out cash and skips the tax? Here it is. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. When you need money, you earn it. A paycheck. And before that paycheck even lands in your hands, the tax has already been carved out of it. You only ever see the smaller number that is left. When the rich need money, they do not sell their winners because selling triggers a tax. Instead, they borrow against them. They walk into a bank and say, I am sitting on a mountain of assets that keeps growing. Lend me cash against it. And the bank says yes, gladly, because that mountain is the security. So they get the cash, the loan is cheap, the assets keep growing in the background untouched. And here is the part that stings. Borrowed money is not income, so it is not taxed. They get to spend their wealth without ever selling it, and without ever paying the tax that comes out of every dollar you earn. Sit with that for a second. The system taxes the person who earns an honest paycheck and barely touches the person borrowing against a mountain of assets. That is not an accident. That is the design. But the deepest trick down here is not financial at all. It is in your head. And it is the reason most people never even find the pulley. You were raised to feel something about debt, fear, shame, a tight knot in your stomach. Debt is the thing responsible adults pay off quietly and never bring up at dinner. And that feeling is real, because the only debt anyone ever handed you was the kind that wraps around your ankle. But that fear does something quiet and very expensive. It makes you treat the whole rope as the enemy, so you never pick it up to learn what else it can do. You spend your entire life sprinting away from a tool, while the people at the top pick that same tool up without a flicker of feeling and put it to work. The rich feel nothing about debt. To them, it is just a lever, cold, useful, nothing to be ashamed of. Your fear of the rope is the deepest trap of all because it is the thing that stops you from ever learning to hold the other end. Watch this play out in two people, same age, same $50,000 saved, exact same starting line. The first one does what feels safe. He buys a $50,000 car in cash, no debt, and he is proud of it. The second it leaves the lot, it starts losing value. 5 years later, the money is gone and the car is worth a fraction of what he paid. He turned his savings into a thing that only shrank. The second one keeps her $50,000 and puts it down on a small rental worth $250. A tenant moves in and pays the mortgage for her every month. Someone else is paying off her debt while the property climbs in value. 5 years later, she owns an asset worth far more than she started with that another person has been paying down the whole time. Same $50,000, same 5 years. One used debt as a chain around the ankle, the other used it as a pulley. The gap between them is already huge, and from here it only grows wider every single year. Now run the tape forward to 10 years instead of 5. The first one is back at the dealership, shopping for his next car, starting the whole cycle over again from zero. The second one took the rent and the growth from that first property and used it to put a deposit on a second one, then a third. Same paycheck, same starting $50,000. One of them is running on a treadmill, sweating hard and going nowhere. The other one quietly built a staircase. That is what a single decision about which end of the rope you pick up compounds into when you give it enough time. Now, before you run off and borrow against everything you own, let me be honest with you. Because on this one, it matters more than usual. The rich are not smarter than you. They are not braver. They just learned early that debt is a tool and not a curse. That is the whole edge. But a tool this powerful cuts both ways, and I will not pretend otherwise. The same leverage that builds fortunes has buried people who did not understand it. Borrowing to buy things that fall in value, or borrowing more than you could survive losing, will sink you faster than almost anything else down here. Plenty of people have picked up this exact rope and dug their own grave with it. So this is not me telling you to go get loans. None of this is financial advice. It is just the light showing you the rope has two ends, when your whole life you were only ever shown the one around your foot. So here is how you start reaching for the right end. 4 moves, and the first 2 are pure defense. 1. Split your debt into the 2 kinds. Lay out everything you owe and ask one question of each piece. Is this dragging me down, or could it lift me up? The credit cards, the car loan, the financed gadgets, those are chains. Be brutally honest about which is which. 2. Kill the bad debt first and stop making more of it. The high-interest stuff around your ankle is an emergency. Cut it down and quit borrowing to buy things that lose value. Stop tying your own ankle to the floor. 3. Learn the tool before you fear it. Understand how good debt actually works. Assets that pay you, things that cash flow, things that grow. You do not have to use any of it tomorrow. You just have to stop flinching every time you see the rope. So one day you can pick it up on purpose with your eyes open. 4. And when you finally do use it only on things that pay you back and never bet more than you could survive losing. Start small. Respect that it cuts both ways, every time. The goal is not to gamble, it is to slowly turn the thing that was working against you into something quietly working for you. So the next time you feel that knot pull tight in your stomach over debt, stop. That feeling is not proof that debt is evil. It is proof that you were only ever handed one end of the rope. The rope was never your enemy, you just never got shown the pulley. Now you have. You do not need to fear the rope. You need to learn which end to hold. The people at the top are not holding magic. They are holding the other end of the exact same rope wrapped around your ankle right now. And the moment you can truly see that, you can start to untie yourself. Every trap down here only works in the dark, and you just turned on the light. Go look at your debt tonight with new eyes. Just look. That is where it starts. If this dug something up for you, subscribe, because this whole channel is one long tunnel under the stuff they bury. Then tell me down in the comments, what is one thing you always believed about debt that you are rethinking right now? Be honest. I want to see it. Keep digging.